Sephora stores are everywhere you are. So just pop in. When you need a brown lip to match your 90s playlist. A confidence boost before your interview? Or a last-minute gift for mom's birthday. There's always a Sephora near you. Just pop in. Use our store locator to find your local Sephora or Sephora at Kohl's.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
The Dental Download podcast is your source for insight into dental school, conversations with dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Haley Schultz. Let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. As time goes here, we're just going to have a more and more chaotic background the next couple weeks because I'm getting ready to move. So bear with me on that if you do watch the video component of the show. But happy anniversary to us, the podcast family. As a solo host, it doesn't feel right to say it's my anniversary. I think it's all of our podcast anniversary, 4 years of the Dental Download. So crazy. It's really gone with me all throughout dental school, finishing up in just a couple weeks here. And I wanted to do kind of a celebratory episode commemorating that we've had 4 years of content, of pre-dental advice, dental school advice, life of new dentists, life of experienced dentists, and people kind of all across the dental industry as well. And we're not going anywhere. That's kind of the premise of this episode. What's to come, how things are going to develop with the podcast as I transition from student to practicing dentist over the next coming months. I wanted to do something really special for the 4-year podcast anniversary, and when I was planning out the year ahead, I thought that this would be when I decide to introduce the video component of the show. However, I got very excited and ended up introducing it back at the start of the new year. So we've been about 3 months already into a video format. If you're not already watching on Spotify, as long as you connect to Wi-Fi, I think your phone will automatically play the video component, which is maybe not as exciting with just a solo episode, but with guests, it's very cool to get to see who they are and get to hear them speak. It's a little bit more engaging. So we have video already, but I also wanted to talk about how I'm going to be revamping the show going forward. So when we have solo episodes, I'm bringing back a format that I kind of did when I first started the show a long time ago, and then adding in a few new elements. So each week we're going to have a life update like I already do, a rec of the week recommendation, can be anything. It can be dental related. It can be lifestyle, personal life related. And then I'm going to talk about one thing that motivated me this week. And then I'm going to talk about one thing that I learned that week. And then we'll transition into the actual segment of the episode, whether that is advice or some specific topic that you all would like to hear when it comes to solo episodes. I pretty much have solo episode topics picked out all the way through the summer months. Once we get into August is where there's still some wiggle room, but I know that ideas will start to pop into my head once I start working. But we're going to have a few more dental school related episodes to come. And then by the end of May, those will all be done. No more dental school talk on the Dental Download podcast. Moving on to fully dentist things. I'm going to have an episode about licensing and how it worked applying for a license, what the cost of all that looks like, because I'm dealing with all of that right now, and it is not so easy and it's not cheap either. But I didn't want to talk about it while I'm in the midst of it because I'm not quite an expert by any means. I wanted to at least wait until the full process went through so that I can give you good advice rather than sharing the fact that I'm sometimes confused like I am right now. And in addition to that, I'm going to have a bunch of wonderful guests. I have a lot recorded already, and I'm recording several in the next couple weeks before I have a little bit of a break from work and from school in between when clinic ends and when graduation is. And then again, in May, I'm going to have another little bit of a break after graduation until I go on a vacation with my family. And then once I'm back from that international trip, I will be starting work. So there's little spurts of work and vacation and work and vacation up until I start the real deal job as a dentist. So, in honor of this new format, why don't we try it out, shall we? Let's see how we like it. As for life updates, I just finished my final 2 weeks of external rotation at a federally qualified health center in Niles, Michigan, and that was by far the best rotation that I've had. I specifically requested that site because I'd heard good things about it, and I'm so thankful that I did. We were able to see about 7 patients a day, sometimes 8, sometimes 6, and that puts in perspective that we would be seeing 5, 6, 7 patients a week at school. So in one day, you see the same amount of patients that you see in 1 week at school. So 4 weeks at the site was like 4 months at school experience-wise. So I'm very, very thankful to have gone there. We worked with trained chairside assistants rather than assisting each other and seeing half the amount of patients like both of my other sites were. And overall, it was a wonderful experience. They are actually hiring at a different location nearby in southern Michigan. So if you're looking for loan repayment and you look interested in working in an FQHC, send me a message because I can connect you with them. I would really recommend it because they have a really great health system umbrella that they work under, and the dental team is excellent. So if you're still looking for a job, that's something to check out, as well as our sponsor for this week's episode. Perfect time to talk about them. Fellow D4s, you do not want to miss out on this opportunity. Be sure to go to Dentist Job Connect using the form specifically in my description to let them know that I sent you. There are so many listings for associate jobs for general dentists. If you're anything like me, you're taking the boards and you're hoping you can graduate and find an amazing associate job. There are tons of options. You can sort by location, you can sort by pay range. Anything you need is right at your fingertips. And again, be sure to go to the link in the description to find out more and sign up. Huge thank you to Dental Nachos and Dentist Job Connect for working with me across my platforms. So a couple more life updates before we get into the other intro segments. So we actually just got back from wedding dress shopping for my sister last weekend. So she's getting married in May of 2025. So I drove out to where she lives in Wisconsin. My mom flew in, future mother-in-law for her and sister-in-law flew in, as well as one of her best friends. So a bunch of people, a bunch of gals, a really fun ladies weekend, all focused on her and searching for her dress and getting excited for her wedding. So I've been having some nice family time intermixed as well with these last couple weeks of wrapping up things in clinic. And as I said at the beginning, pardon the background, it's just going to get a little bit more askew as I'm packing a ton because I'm moving. We start the lease on our house in the area that I'll be working. I'm still going to commute about 30 minutes from the house we're renting to work, but I wanted to be closer to more of the suburban area and a little bit less in the country just to get acclimated to living out in the country. But we start the lease for that house actually tomorrow, the day that you're listening to this episode, April 1st. And I'm going to be moving in the middle of April, right when our time and responsibilities in clinic finish up. So I'll be moving in the middle of April, bringing all my stuff over there, settling in, and then going down to see my parents in Florida. But as for finishing things up at clinic, as I've said, not trying to brag, just trying to make sure everyone's on the same page if you don't listen every single week. I'm done with all my clinical requirements. I did my first multiple canaled tooth for a root canal actually on Friday on number 4. So it was 2 canals that joined in the apical 1/3. So kind of 2 canals, but not really because it merged at the end, but still a cool experience and a really good learning opportunity. I did a few root canals while I was on rotation, as well as a lot more extractions, and I'm still not what I would say super proficient with molar extractions unless you're able to do surgical and section the tooth. But when it comes to just using an elevator and forceps, I'm not always perfect at molars, but everything else in the mouth, I would say I've got a good handle on, and now I feel a little bit more confident with root canals. And we do have still 2.5 weeks left at school. I had to give away some of my bigger cases and any of my crowns just because it would be too risky to start them, because they won't let us start prepping a tooth unless we're going to deliver the final crown. And sometimes it turns out the patients need crown lengthening, or they're not paying, or all these different things could happen, or the lab is not working and your impression's not good, something like that. And you don't get to deliver it, and then you're stuck waiting around. And I don't need the credits for any reason. I just wanted the actual chairside experience of doing the procedures, but I'll get to do plenty more crowns. I did some on rotation. I've done plenty during school, but I had to give away a handful of those cases to third-year students just because it was too risky, according to my supervisor, which I'm thankful for. It was too risky to start them, with the potential of not finishing them and then having to linger around even though I don't need to be here. But my last 3 weeks, because of that, are not too exciting. It's a lot of checkouts, such as just prophies exams for patients from my roster, just making sure they're still doing good. They've pretty much, a lot of them, been in maintenance my whole time, or maybe I did 1 or 2 treatments on them. And then I do have a few patients that still have a lot of direct restorations, just fillings that I'm going to do on them, because those are kind of, same day drill and fill. So I don't really have to worry about anything going askew with that for the most part. And next, we're going to talk about my rec of the week. And for me, I'm going to be recommending Disney Plus. Can you say nostalgia? I was a huge Disney Channel kid growing up, and after the Nickelodeon documentary that just came out, which was, it's this whole other conversation. So sad, so terrible, but definitely very engaging, and it makes you think a lot. But it reminded me of how much I loved the other channel, Disney Channel specifically. So that got me thinking about Disney. And then I'd also been seeing how the Taylor Swift Eras movie is on there. So I just knew I was going to be purchasing a Disney Plus subscription sooner or later. And I decided to. And I've been loving having it on while I'm packing and decluttering and organizing and getting ready to see, what am I moving, what am I donating, all of that. So it's been really fun to have different series on in the background, or some movies that really just bring back so many fun childhood memories. So that would be my recommendation of the week, is to check out Disney Plus. As for what has motivated me this week, I've been really inspired with content ideas, which is always a fun opportunity for me. And it's not just the podcast. If you don't know, I also have a YouTube channel where I post a mix of vlogs showing my life as a soon-to-be dentist, as well as other informative videos similar to the podcast, but in shorter format and different content. I don't usually put the exact same topic on YouTube that's on the podcast. So if you're not watching YouTube, you definitely should check it out as well. And I had an idea for a new YouTube video, which is going to be kind of cool. I've been in an emotional up and down, I would say, about getting ready for graduation and starting to work. It's a lot of change, and change, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, I was very bad at. Now I'm a little bit better, but it's still, for anyone doing anything new, anything for the first time, it's just uncomfortable. So I have a lot of different thoughts about the process of graduation and the process of starting to work, and it might look so glamorous and exciting to be finally finishing dental school, and maybe you're really looking ahead to it, but there's always other things going on, I would say, and it's always going to be where the grass is greener somewhere else. So I'm just going to be sharing some of my own thoughts, as well as fellow D4s at other programs, kind of how they're feeling about starting working, finishing dental school, that it's not always all this amazing stuff, but I'll also finish the video on kind of a high note. So if you're interested in seeing some of that, be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you'll see when the video goes up. That one's just my name. So it's Haley Schultz over on YouTube. If you want to watch any of those videos or see live what dental school is like for me. And I do have a few final podcast episodes, like I said, that I thought of some fun topics to kind of wrap up dental school before we officially close that chapter behind us. And then the last thing of this episode, I don't have a specific segment. We're just chatting about what's to come with the future of the dental download. But the last part that you're going to hear in every single intro of a solo episode is something that I learned this week. So this isn't something that I didn't know at all, but it was something that I was reminded of. As I said, I've had some days that have been really wonderful and then some days that have been really challenging lately. And on those challenging days, I was forced to remember this fact that you can't do it all alone and you don't have to. So I leaned really heavily on my family. I would call my family and just kind of vent and get their opinions on things. And of course, they'd be so supportive and encouraging and help make me feel better, as well as I also turned towards faith and having a lot of time in scripture and in prayer. And that also helped me as well. So what I learned this week is that you can't do it all on your own and you don't have to. You don't have to struggle in silence. You don't have to be alone. You're not the only one going through what you think you're struggling with. And just know that there are people that love you and care about you and want to help you. And definitely try reaching out to them and see if it helps. So that is everything for this week's episode, our 4-year anniversary. I wanted to do something a little bit more exciting, but honestly, just with the time of year that this is and with so much going on, it just wasn't in the cards. But I hope you all still enjoyed and you're excited for the slightly tweaked format that's coming up with the podcast. So it's still going to be the same alternating weekly. So solo episode guest every single month. And all the solo episodes are going to have that new little set of topics at the beginning for the intro. So the life update, rec of the week, what motivated me, something I learned, and then we'd get into the topic for the week. So with all that said, I want to thank you all so much for however long you've been listening to the show, whether it's been 2 months, whether it's been 2 years, whether it's been since the very beginning, all 4 years. I appreciate you all so much. I'm so grateful for this community that we're building, and I look forward to everything that's to come with the podcast.